All right. All right. We are live. Let me bring in my man, Blue Blood Sports TV. There he is.
What's good, my guy? How you feeling?
What's popping? I'm good. How you doing?
Chilling, chilling, man. I was trying to get it connected to this phone, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
where where you at? What
I'm in
part of
I'm
the
in
country?
I'm in New York.
What part?
I'm in Long Island now.
Strong Island.
Yes, sir.
I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay, okay. Salute to the 51631, man.
There we go. There we go. I spent some time in Long Island. I like Long Island.
Oh
Um,
yeah, 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 man. I love it out here now, man.
yeah, suburban life.
Yeah. Facts, facts, all facts, man.
Let me let me ask you. I'm gonna
Mhm.
start. I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but the the shot that landed on Alexander Usyk. What did you make of that shot? Was it low? What do you think happened?
I think it was illegal on the belt line.
I agree.
Yeah. I think when you look at different still photos, uh, two things for me: the reaction from Usyk and the still photos. Right,
Yep.
as men, when you get hit low, first of all, it's a delay reaction, and that's instantly that's where you're gonna reach for. Right, he did neither one of those. He instantly reacted because the wind was knocked out of him, and then he never reached below the belt. He reached for his stomach.
I've been saying that same thing. I literally. I don't know if you. Same thing.
Mhm.
When there's two. There's two different reactions you get when you get hit low or when you get hit. One is in the nuts. You
Mhm.
wince. You're on the floor.
Right,
The second is when you get the wind knocked out of you.
right, right,
Usyk was gasping for breath.
right.
If you saw his fucking hand was shaking too at some
It's
point at one point.
like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the reaction you
No.
have when you
No.
get hit low.
No. And it hit him around the belly button,
Right,
which is
exactly.
nowhere near the nuts.
Right. And on top of that, then he said, well, I have my trunks below my belly button. But we can see multiple photos,
There
still
weren't.
shots.
It
Is
was
you
above.
can't see his you can't see his belly button.
No. No. No.
Right,
At the end, no, yeah, no, I did all that. I'm sure you did that too. Yeah, it
right.
was above the belly button. Um, but then this begs a new question, which is the referee deems what is low and what isn't because certain fighters hold the trunks higher, certain
Mm-hmm.
fighters hold the
Hold
trunks
it
lower.
low. Right.
From what I understand, this referee did say that belt line is illegal. Is that correct?
Well, according to Usyk, he said the referee never even gave them instructions.
Oh, so it was never even determined for this fight?
That's what he said. He said the
Oh, that's
referee never gave him instructions.
okay. I was told that the referee, maybe in the locker room or somewhere, had told them belt line is going to be called a foul.
Right. Yeah. Well, Usyk said in the interview that they didn't even give them instructions.
Well, so then that makes it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So the shot now he went down. He seemed pretty incapacitated, like a good body shot would do,
Mm-hmm.
gasping for breath, labored breathing. Do you think he would have made it up if he had to before 10?
Nope. Nope.
Didn't look like it.
Nope. And you know why? Because when he instantly got hit, he went to his knees. Now, if the referee does his job in a timely manner, he instantly got hit. He turned. He went to his knees. Right. He's not even looking at the ref counting. He can't even hear the ref
He
counting.
was, yeah,
Right at
yeah,
that point in time.
yeah,
Then he turned on his back and dragged himself to the ropes. Now
yeah.
you take you this amount of time, and by the time he realizes that the ref is counting him out to get up, and then it, like you said, his hands started shaking,
Yup.
right? And then if you look at this, I did this last night, right? You go back and look when the referee says, "Are you okay?" Watch what he says. I can't catch my breath.
Is that what he says?
That's what he said.
So how? So that's on video.
Right.
Okay. So how in the world is that a low blow?
Right.
The effect,
Exactly.
the low blow has been put into place in boxing to protect against shots to the groin,
Right. Right.
right?
Exactly. And you know what he said? This is another thing that lets me know he was hit in the stomach and the wind was knocked out of him. He says it instantly started burning. Burning is not the sensation you get when you get hit low.
Huh.
And on the same night, we watched Efe Ajagba intentionally get hit low. Intentionally. He was winding up and hitting Efe Ajagba. His reaction was not like that.
Yes. Yes. Shortness of breath is low blow, is a body shot. Pain
Right.
is
Right.
is a nut shot.
Right. Because
So,
you get the wind knocked out of you.
right.
I gave this example yesterday in playing football. I played football and a dude fumbled, turned around. I played linebacker. I turned around, saw the ball. You know, your instant reaction is jump on the ball. I jumped on the ball and it landed on my stomach instead of in my shoulder pad area. And instantly I said, because the wind is knocked out of me.
Right.
And I turned over. Now you're no longer paying attention to anything going on because you're just trying to concentrate on getting the wind back in your body.
Right. Right.
That's the react. When you get hit low, I mean, as men, you go to get on a bike sometimes, whether it's an exercise bike or a regular pedal bike, and sometimes you get on it wrong or get off wrong, and you like, oh,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's your reaction, not gasping for air. That's never
Right.
your reaction.
Exactly. And, you know, I've seen a lot of comments responding saying, well, if you know, so like, I boxed for a long time. So I've
Right.
been hit in the body and I've been
Right.
hit low. So I know
Right.
what it feels like. People are saying, I heard some people saying that, well, when you get hit low, it goes into the cup and the cup digs into you. And that's not true.
That's not true.
I mean, that's not even close to being true.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So he goes down, and we're not sure if he could. So this is how I look at it. I think should definitely been ruled a knockdown,
Mhm.
and probably a knockout. It probably
Knockout.
would have been. We have no way
Right.
of knowing that for sure.
Right.
But
And another thing he said, right, Mark? He said if the referee started counting, we would have just got up and tried to find a way through it and weather the storm because we knew DuBose was Daniel would have jumped on us.
He
And
said
we'd have
that?
just that's what he said. We'd have just tried to find a way through it.
Mm.
For a low blow?
Nah. If you saw, he tried to get up about 20, 30 seconds in. You saw that he put it right back down.
He couldn't stand up. That's not the reaction. And that's my thing. For any man, we've all been there.
Yeah.
That is just not the reaction. That's not
Yeah.
and you don't describe that pain
No.
as a burning sensation.
No, and it never affects your breathing like that. Ever.
Exactly. Never.
Yeah.
He said, he tells the reporter, Usyk, well, if I hit you like that and you feel that burning pain that I was feeling burning, I would never want nobody to feel that. Then he said he was hit on his bladder. Huh?
Bladder?
Yeah, he said it wasn't his testicle, it was his bladder. What are we talking about here?
I mean, that doesn't cause. I've been hit in that area, and then nothing hurts except you get in the nuts.
Right.
Now let's not. I don't want to be completely biased because Usyk was washing him out the whole fight.
Right.
And that's why I'm not that upset because I feel like it was just so much more of a superior fighter.
Right.
I'm a little disappointed in Dubois. I've seen him. This is the second time I've seen him display, for lack of a better word, I don't know, not much of a dog in him. Quitting. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It looked like he quit.
Yeah.
Right.
He packed it in, man.
It did. And I don't know why. Why do you think?
I feel like because two things. Like you said, he was getting washed. He finally landed the punch. He actually landed 3 good punches, right? That punch on the belt line. A punch after that, he stood Usyk up with a right hand. And another punch, another right hand, he landed right before the bell rung that hurt Usyk. Okay. Right? But I think he was deflated after he landed the one punch he was looking for. It landed. It did what it needed to do. Like we both feel like I don't think he would have recovered. So we both feel like that, it did what it needed to do, and he was deflated. it gave me. You remember when Deontay and Tyson Fury fought the first time?
Yeah.
And remember when he knocked Tyson Fury out in the 12th round?
Right.
And then Fury got up. Remember Wilder was celebrating to the crowd?
Yeah.
Right? And then when he turned around, almost like a Rocky moment, where Apollo was just like,
He was like, "Oh shit!"
like really? You know what I'm saying? And Fury won that rest of that round,
He
that
did.
12th round,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we all focus on the fact that should the referee have waved it off, so on and so forth. That's what we harp on, right? But if you look at the second half of that round, Fury was started to win the second half of that round, and I think it was because Wilder just checked out at that point.
Right.
It was like he felt like it was over, and then it was like, really, I got to fight again?
Wow. Yeah.
And I think, like you just said, Dubois was losing the whole fight. He started to get hit clean going into that 5th round, cleaner and cleaner and cleaner.
Uh-huh.
He landed that punch. The ref said it was a low blow, and it was like deflating. And then when he landed those 2 right hands, and Usyk didn't waver, he ran out of time. One, the round ended, and the other one he couldn't capitalize on.
Right.
And we already knew, no disrespect to Dubois, but we've seen this movie before where he essentially just packs it in.
Yeah.
And I think that at that point in time, he was like, you know what? It ain't going to happen. I think Usyk started to turn it up another notch. And he started to be deflated. And the first couple of punches that he landed that was hard and clean. Because when you even look at those knockdowns, I'm like, really?
Yeah. Especially the last one.
Yeah. It's like, really, bro? Like,
yeah.
He didn't want to get up from the first one.
Yeah.
If you look in the 8th round when he got up at 9.
Yes.
He just barely made it.
Barely. No, that's a good point. And the second one, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, to me, this further solidified the fact that if Tyson Fury fights Usyk, it's not going to go well for Usyk. I don't think.
No, not at all.
Right?
I saw some stuff in him from this fight, Mark, and instantly, and we know the triangle theory don't work, right?
The what theory?
The triangle theory, it doesn't work.
What's the triangle theory?
Where this fighter A fights fighter B means that he's gonna beat fighter C, right?
Gotcha.
So that triangle theory doesn't work.
No, it does
right?
not. Right.
We've seen this movie before where Shane Mosley beats Mayorga beats Vernon Forrest, and Vernon Forrest beats Shane Mosley, but then Shane Mosley knocks out Mayorga. It just don't work.
Nope.
Right? And we saw Sandor Martin arguably look like he beat Teo, and then I'm like, well, Josh Taylor is a better version, southpaw, bigger than Sandor Martin, and then Teo goes in there and whitewashed Josh Taylor.
To me, the best example of that to me is Frazier, Foreman, Ali.
Right. Exactly.
Perfect. Exactly. Yeah. Right. You're right.
It just the triangle theory don't work. But I just saw some things in Usyk. I'm like, man, if I'm a young fighter, Fury or Wilder, or one of these young fighters, he's susceptible to the body. Sean Porter did it in the amateurs. Artur Beterbiev did it in the amateurs. Dropped him into the body.
That's crazy. Sean Porter fought Usyk in the amateurs. But go ahead.
Beat him.
That's
right?
Crazy.
And hurt him to the body.
Right.
Artur Beterbiev, we know he's a big puncher, so I think it kind of gets dismissed, right? Because he's a big puncher, 100% knockout ratio. He dropped Usyk to the body.
Right.
Then, slipping my mind, the guy he fought at cruiserweight had dropped him to the body, hurt him to the body.
Okay.
Now Joshua, if this is the same referee too, in the second fight, Joshua hurt him to the body.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Now we saw him hurt again. His reaction when you go to the body, and remember in the Joshua fight and in the this fight with Dubois, right? He complained every time they went to the body.
I was going to say that, but he not only did complain, but he did kind of cardinal boxing sin, dropping his hands, turning to the ref.
He completely He does not like it to the body. And
No.
if I'm a young fighter or a fighter that has fast hands combinations like Andy Ruiz, if I'm Jared Anderson right now, the way he went to the body, I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. But if you have the talent to be able to get to his body, man, you could
It's a
hit the
wrap.
lotto.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a wrap. And Fury's just a rough fighter, and
Uh,
that's not going to go well.
yeah, not at all. And I don't know if you noticed it, but I feel like I saw slippage in him. He didn't look that fast.
Yeah, now that you say it, and he wasn't moving his head as
He
much.
wasn't moving his head as much.
Yeah, yeah. Now that
He
you say
wasn't that active.
no.
Like I'm like, man, even though he was having so much success against Daniel Dubois, I felt like it could have been more. And I felt like how we was just saying, it got to a point where he turned it up and Dubois was like, he packed it in. But he was coasting, and maybe it was that he didn't feel like Dubois was the threat he was.
Right.
But I just feel if Dubois, he's not very fast like Joe Joyce. And if he can hit you with punches to the body that you don't, that wasn't the first good punch he hit Usyk with to the body. He hit him with about 3 right hooks to the body.
Right.
It just he kind of caught it with his elbow at the same time.
Uh-huh.
It didn't land clean. But
Yep.
if Dubois can dig to your body, a big guy like that, and you don't see it, imagine what Ruiz, Jared Anderson, Wilder, and Fury can do.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to pivot a little to we haven't got a chance to talk about the Spence Crawford fight. If you could remind me, who did you have winning coming into the fight?
I picked Spence to win.
Okay.
Against my better judgment, because the whole time from the first moment we talked about this fight, I was like, man, Terence Crawford got all the tools to nullify Errol Spence. And like I told Bomac, I told Red and Crawford team just last week, I'm like, man, it got to a point where I felt like Terence Crawford kind of plateaued with his level of competition. And I felt Errol Spence started to go up. He started to show us a little bit more tools in the toolbox. The Mikey Garcia fight, to me, I like how he boxed Mikey Garcia. He could have, out of all people, he could have just said, I'm going to be a freight train and run right over Mikey Garcia. And Ugas, like he did Ugas, like he fought Kell Brook, the physical fight he fought with Sean Porter. He chose to box Mikey, and then he chose to box Danny to stay away from Danny's power. Even a 14-month layoff, the car accident, he chose to box Danny, right?
Right.
He could have said, listen, let me stay close to him. My timing might be off. Let me just be physical with him in the inside, push him off his square. Danny's flat-footed. No, he chose to box Danny. Be on the end of Danny punches is the most dangerous thing to me.
Right.
Where you don't see Danny's punches coming from a distance, that's where he's most dangerous, not on the inside.
So you had Errol because you felt like Bud had plateaued and Errol was a second.
Yeah, I felt like the level of competition Terence Crawford fought, he stopped showing the versatility, right? He started just fighting, even when he fought Igis Kavalauskas, right? He got hurt, arguably dropped, unofficially dropped in the fight. Even Andre Ward is like, man, what is this dude? What are you doing? What's the game plan? You know?
Why did Errol Spence say that thing to you at the press conference if you were starting to choose him anyway?
I had picked Errol from the last 2 years.
Yeah, so why?
But Errol just felt like because once I learned what was going on with the negotiations, I can't no longer say Terence Crawford is the reason this fight not happening.
Oh, because you were involved with BLK and Terence, right.
Okay. And then I was privy to the negotiations.
Okay.
Right?
That's crazy. I was told that Crawford was, and I don't really care about this because it's dumb, but just briefly, that Crawford was the one who was, kind of like, I want the coin flip, I want all this. That's not true?
Yeah, no, that became true, but I think it became true based off of Crawford started to feel slighted. Like they're not respecting me, what I have done. Now I want the sun, moon, and stars on. I ain't fighting, type of deal.
Okay.
And Crawford, yeah, for sure. Crawford is in negotiations. He wants the numbers don't matter to him. It's what I have done. But the
Respect.
business is basing it off of, well, your pay-per-views, your revenue
Right.
says this. And he's saying, well, I'm a 3-division champion. I'm undisputed. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
that's
saying? I'm considered the best fighter in the world. So he bases it based off of what he's done in the ring.
right. And that's not
That's
yeah.
not how it works.
Right. So okay,
So
so you were saying, why did Errol say that to you?
yeah.
Why did he think that you weren't?
So then once I said, listen, you know what? I'm seeing that, they just don't the business is, first of all, I was made privy that Showtime was going through a transition. And so the budget changed. That's why we didn't see everybody fight more than once if they fought once.
Okay.
Right. And, for the negotiations for Terrence Crawford, it was no guarantee purse, so on and so forth. So there was a lot of things that I'm like, listen, okay, it's not going to happen, but I can't put all this on Terrence Crawford. And so Errol Spence is like, bro, you switched from being on my side to your side when, no, I didn't switch from being on your side. I'm on the side of fairness and the side of boxing. This Terrence Crawford makes up for 50% of the biggest fight in boxing, in my opinion.
Roy Jones told me that he bumped into Errol and Errol refused to shake his hand recently. So I guess he has that in him, huh?
Yeah. He see everything. He
Yeah.
see everything. He know everything. He watch everything, and he gonna call it how he see it. You know what I'm saying? If he
Right.
feel like you switch sides on him, he gonna let you know when he see you. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you was pro me, now you pro him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And my stance was, for one, Terrence Crawford came to us as BOK Prime.
Right.
I'm not fighting Errol Spence. What could y'all do for me? We'd be fools. He don't have a network. He don't have a promotional company. He's the best fighter in the world. We'll be fools to say, hey, no, we ain't going to be involved ourselves because you need to fight Errol Spence.
So he was referring to you guys just working with Terrence.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And he felt like I just started siding with Terrence, which I didn't. I just started siding with Sport of Boxing and the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the truth is, like Errol Spence came out and said, today's time. If it wasn't for him getting on the phone with Terrence Crawford, they wouldn't be fighting. Right. The business wasn't going to pay for it because they didn't value Terrence Crawford.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I was always meant to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you were going for Spence. I assume you still thought it was going to be evenish, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. I always thought it was 50-50 fight.
Me too. I was leaning towards Bud, but like just a slight Fat Joe lean, just a little bit.
Right. See, I was leaning towards Errol because I thought that Terrence Crawford was going to come in the fight and want to fight at some point and not box.
Mm-hmm.
I drastically underestimated that he would be the stronger guy. I didn't believe that.
Yeah.
I thought that Errol Spence would be more disciplined and fundamentally sound than he was.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? He was, better in every aspect. I didn't expect that. You know what I mean?
Right. So at the end of the fight, what were you thinking to yourself when everything was said and done?
I thought, I'm like, man, I always had Terrence Crawford as the best fighter in the world. But I'm like, I completely underestimated just how much better he was. Yeah. Because I didn't take nothing away from Errol Spence. A lot of people say Errol Spence didn't look like himself. Errol Spence wasn't this. Errol Spence was. I don't. Errol Spence. When I look at the Ugas fight and I look at the Kell Brook fight, I see the same Errol Spence. That's post and pre car accident. I see the same type of style.
You didn't see anything different because some people are bringing up, how he looked in his eyes and how his speech was slower. You didn't see anything off.
No, and yeah, when he was in the locker room, I said this on my live stream. When he was in the locker room, I'm like, man, he looked in the daze a little bit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He definitely did. You can't take that. You know what I mean? You can see that he looked like mellow, very.
Yeah, like his eyelids were really heavy.
Yeah. He looked very like, and I never saw that. You know what I mean? But as far as when I looked at the third round, he came out super aggressive like himself. you know, in the
And,
first round.
and can I tell you, not to cut you off, but
Mhm.
when I knew the fight was over was that third round because he came out and he landed he threw a jab and a hard overhand left that connected, but it did
It did
nothing,
nothing. Did nothing.
And that's when I was like, oh shit, this is not going to
Mm.
be good.
Let me tell you when I knew it was over.
Mm.
Before the knockdown in the second round, when he went to bully Terrence Crawford off his square, and he didn't even budge, and Bud just pushed him back.
Yeah.
He pushed him back with his arms. He didn't even lean into it.
Yeah.
And you can see Errol's face, like almost like, oh shit,
Right.
this dude is just as strong as stronger
Right.
than way stronger than I thought. You can see the thoughts in his head.
Right. I mean,
When
go ahead. My bad.
yeah, when he went back, you can see the thoughts in his head, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be a long night. And then I said it on my live stream. I'm like, man, this might be a long night. And 5 seconds later, he gets dropped.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the way I look at it, we're in terms of if there's anything off with them, you know, because you hear all kinds of things, weight drain, this, that, injuries. No matter what it was, he still went through with the fight, so it's on him.
Right.
If there was anything, there could have been nothing. You know,
right.
How do we know that Bud didn't just hit him a couple times and, you know, daze him?
Right. And that's my whole thing. It's like I don't want to go down that lane, down that path, because it's always coulda, shoulda, woulda. Nobody's healthy going in boxing.
There's always a possible issue on both sides. There always is.
Right. And the thing is, we look at them sometimes as robots, and you box. So we look at, you know, from this side, it's like robots. You know, I expect Mark to look like himself every given Saturday.
Right.
Every time, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, when I see Mark, I expect you to look like yourself. I don't know if you got a 24-hour stomach bug.
Right.
I don't know if you trip down the stairs, and these are little things that we take for granted. But in ordinary life, you can go up your stairs, trip, mess up your big toe, and all of a sudden you're like, dang, I can't even walk right. But because you're not competing at the highest level, you don't give it too much credence. But when I look at Mark, I can say, man, why Mark ain't moving around? Maybe you stubbed your toe going up the stairs, and I don't even know.
Right. And, you know, the way I look at it is like, no matter what could have or should have been with Errol, Bud was so far ahead of him that night. So much, you know, he was in his zone.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. He was just the better fighter. And, you know, and by the way, two things can be true. You know, let's say Errol did have something slightly wrong with him or very wrong with him. That doesn't mean that by saying that it's a complete excuse and Bud didn't do what he did. Two things can be true. Bud could have done what he did, and Errol could have had something wrong with him.
Right.
Exactly. But again, but it doesn't matter because, you know, I think at the end, you know, Errol, a lot of people say he didn't make excuses, but the one thing I kind of heard, and tell me if you agree with this, it was kind of an excuse in itself when he said, look, I agreed to this weight, no excuses. I don't have any excuses. I agreed to it. I signed up for this weight. You know, and I'm like, because I wasn't even thinking that it could be a weight thing until he said that.
Right. And then he said, on top of that, we got to do it at 54. So it's
right.
It gives the indication that,
oh,
you was weight drained.
Exactly. That's the indication it gives. Right. So, I mean, it wasn't, you know, that's technically, but, you know, for all we know, this dude's been fighting at 47 his whole career.
Right.
You know, I hear from, you know.
Well, he actually started at 54.
Okay.
And then he moved up to 47. I mean, he moved down to 47 then. But the thing is, like this, right, Mark, is that another thing that gets lost in translation of this weight is that we automatically attest Terrence Crawford to comfortably making 147 because he started in a lower weight class.
Exactly, which it's hard for him too.
Which is hard for him too because, like I tell people, Terrence Crawford has been in this division for 5 years and 8 fights at 35.
Yeah. I mean, they both walk around at probably over 170 pounds a piece, if not Errol probably more. I mean,
yeah. And Terrence Crawford just said, like, what was it, a day later or so, He's like, wait, what do you weigh now? He's like 165.
168 or 170, I thought he said, maybe even.
Yeah, like he said, I'm in the mid 160s or something.
Yeah,
like that.
right. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
So imagine what he is right now.
Right. So even if it was a weight issue, they all have weight issues, so it all
Right.
cancels out, and
Right.
but Bud was, for me, the most impressive thing I saw. So we all saw the counter punching, but the traps that I saw him set to
Mhm.
make Errol initiate was the most impressive to me.
Super impressive. And his jab. Every time, see, Errol Spence have fell into the mode of I fight you. When I stop, then you fight me.
Oh, right. Back
Right.
forth, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Terrence Crawford took a page out of Kell Brook and Sean Porter book. Every time he did something, Terrence Crawford reacted. He never ever was inactive. Just stood there and took something and then had wasted time and then go back. No, he reacted to everything Errol Spence did. As soon as, and like we said in the second round, as soon as Errol, he stabbed Errol to the body first, and then Errol went to get him back,
and he got countered.
And he got counted
and
immediately. Let me. You react. I'm going to react right back.
Yeah.
He made sure every mistake that Errol Spence made prior to Terrence Crawford fight, Terrence Crawford made him pay for every single mistake he made.
Everything, even footing, everything.
Footing, anything. You reach too far away, I'm gonna make you pay for it.
Yep.
If your foot is off, I'm gonna make. He saw everything. It was like he was fighting in the Matrix.
Yeah. Nah, he was real impressive, and do you even want to see the rematch?
I'm interested to see it, and the reason that I'm more interested than not, is because of like what we just said. When Errol Spence, he kind of hinted at the weight being an issue. So now I want to see them at 154.
I feel like I would give that some more credence if the fight was a little closer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I said. Like it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell to the casuals. Me and you gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Right? But to a casual, I had so many celebrities. They like, man, Errol need to retire.
Oh yeah, a lot of people start saying that.
Yeah, and those are the people that we need that pay. Because me and you gonna pay for it. We gonna watch it. They ain't gotta worry about us. It's more casuals to the sport than hardcore.
Right.
And so it's a hard sell because, like you just said, it wasn't close.
Right. And so do you think there'd be a difference at 54?
I don't. I think it'll be closer, but I don't think Errol gonna win.
Okay. So
once you, and this is for any walk in sports, right? Yeah. Once you figure out the code, regardless of what took place, your confidence with that team or that person is just through the roof. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like when it's that far apart, like we just said. When it's a competitive fight, it'll still draw doubt when you go into a rematch or anything, right? A football game, basketball game. When it's competitive, it'll draw doubt. When you go into any type of competition and you completely whitewash them, mm-hmm. and they can have the excuse, well, in NBA, our best player wasn't playing. Or this play, like, okay, to give you an example, what I'm trying to say is, remember when the Cavaliers played the Warriors in the finals,
right?
And everybody said, well, Draymond Green getting suspended was the reason that the Cavaliers won that game or the next game. But when he came back, the Cavaliers won again, and now they was fully healthy, the whole team, and the reason being is because now I know I can beat you.
Right. Yeah, man, I agree. Definitely. Yeah. I think, so, okay. Bud first says, I'm not fighting Canelo at anything over 160. Mm-hmm. But a couple days later, we all saw it. I think it was on Rogan. He goes, you know what? I've been thinking about it. I love challenges. I think I want to fight Canelo at 168.
Hmm.
What do you think happens if Bud fights Canelo at 168?
I think Terrence Crawford wins.
Okay.
And check this out, right? I was the first person to tell Terrence Crawford and his team that you could beat Canelo. And they told me I went too far. Blue, you went too far. I said, no, y'all could beat, I believe he could beat Canelo. And at the same time, I was telling him, I think Errol Spence is going to win. But I told him, I think that he could beat Canelo.
You see something stylistically or what?
Stylistically. Because I see a lot of the same traits that he had. A lot of the same traits that Floyd Mayweather gave Canelo problems with and Lara gave him problems with. Terrence Crawford has those same traits, but
Interesting.
he got more power in both hands than both of them.
Interesting.
And the reason I say that is because Canelo is going to be rendered inactive because of Terrence Crawford's long arms, his reflexes, and his power. So it's going to make Canelo a thinker, more strategic, and he'll take his time. Canelo will take his time in trying to break you down, and before you know it, he's down on the cards like Bivol fight, right?
Interesting.
Lara had him down on the cards, but Lara just started coasting and started running.
You have everything you said. You have great points. My only thing I'd want to see is how much Canelo's bigger size, not height but frame,
Frame.
how much of a part that plays.
And see with that, even with that, when you see Canelo in person, I'm sure you have. When you see him in person, he's not even a big guy. He just has broad shoulders.
He's a little wide, but he's like about 5'8", maybe.
Yeah, but he's like a V though.
Right.
So he's really not a very heavy guy. He's muscular and he's stocky, but it's like a V, right? So he don't really put on a lot of weight, and he has a major problem. Is his feet are slow.
His feet are slow. Okay.
His feet are slow. And when you're dealing with a boxer like Terrence Crawford, have a 4-inch arm reach advantage, slightly taller, power in both hands, and is slick, defensively responsible, he's going to give Canelo a ton of problems to find him. Now, I think you have to, the way he fought Errol Spence, he's going to have to make a adjustment. He can't fight like that because he was stationary with Errol Spence, right?
Right.
He's going to have to move, and Terrence Crawford stays in shape. So I think that extra weight is going to give him more oxygen, more ability to move around, stay active because he has to stay active, stay alert, and he got enough power to, when Canelo jab, because Canelo will take breaks and do this and do this. That's his way of taking a break. And you catch him with the jab heavy enough, often enough, bang, bang. The fight is like Caleb Plant ran out of gas in the second half. Billy Joe Saunders started making mistakes and getting caught. But we saw that style give him a problem. And since Terrence Crawford can master that style, as long as, like you said, I'm not worried about Canelo's weight, because the weight he fights at right now probably comes in I don't think he comes in no more than 175, right? And so you got to factor in, when he fought Floyd, he was what, 167, 168.
Was he?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he had, because they fought at 52. Remember, Floyd was saying, "Oh, he's 20 pounds." His official weight was like, the next day was like 168, something like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that they weighed him the next day.
Yeah. So he had gained all that weight, and when that slows Canelo down with quicker fighters, he's not going to be quicker. So the problem, the weight for Canelo's don't concern me. It concerns me for Crawford. And the reason it concerns me for Crawford is carrying the weight.
Right.
When he gained the weight, is he going to suddenly start to gas in the second half, carrying all that weight and the movement?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, But okay, so let me ask you this: what
Mm,
if? And I want to get into that in a little bit, the Charlo
mm,
Canelo. But let's say he fights Charlo,
mm,
Bud.
mm.
How do you see that going?
Charlo at 168 is going to be more of a problem for him than Charlo at 154.
And it will be 168 because they're fighting. Well, actually, not
Well,
necessarily.
if Charlo beats Canelo, first of all, if Charlo beats Canelo,
You got
I
both.
don't see him fighting either one of them because it's going to be a rematch clause. I don't see Canelo walking away from that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just can't see him like Canelo just going to fight Charlo, Charlo win, and then he's just going
That's
to let him
right.
walk off in the sunset in his
Right.
division,
That's a
and
good
he's the
point.
undisputed champ. No, he's going to have to run that back in May.
Right. But let's just say, do you see Charlo beating Bud?
Um, I think that it's a tougher fight for Terrence Crawford to beat Charlo at 68 than it would be for him to beat him at 54.
Why?
Because I think Jamel is going to come in, and we're going to see this with Canelo, and that's why I say I give Jamel a good chance, because his frame, he's such a big guy that he's probably going to be 185
Mm,
the night of the fight. And
okay.
to move him around for Canelo and uh, uh, um and Terrence Crawford to hurt him, at that weight is going to be a problem. And he got a good jab. They just got to make him make mistakes. He'll make mistakes. He'll square up. When he fought Castano, I rewatched that fight a few times now. He squared up and just was like, and I'm like, I was super confused. What in the hell was that we just
Right.
watched? And
Right.
Castano caught him and made him pay in between that, right? And Castano is he has shorter arm reach and shorter than both Canelo and Terrence Crawford.
Right. Right.
But he made him pay. And at first, my first couple of times watching it, my assessment was, well, the way Argentinian fighters fight in their style is very awkward when they cut off the ring, like Maidana. They cut
Right.
off the ring, and it's very hard to stay away from them, right? But then when I rewatched it, I'm like, well, it's not so much of his footwork; it was what Jamel Charlo was not doing correctly. Backing straight up, squared, and got caught. Bang!
Right.
On the ropes, he squared up and tried to throw two hooks, a left and a right. Got caught in between. Bang! But the left still connected on Castano. You know what I mean? Because Castano stays and waits for the receipts.
Right. Yeah, he does.
Canelo is not going to wait for the receipts,
No.
and Terrence Crawford ain't going to wait for the receipts. But he's such a big guy, Jamel Charlo. If he is able to clean up those acts, I don't think either one of them beats him.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
So
if he's 6 feet tall,
yeah.
he gonna be 100. He gonna be damn near a cruiserweight. They gonna be fighting.
Huh.
You ever seen? Did he the same size as damn near as Andre Ward?
Yeah, he was about. I saw him at the press. He's about my height. Looked about
Yeah.
5'11", 6.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just shocking because we're talking about the junior middleweight undisputed champion, 154,
Mm-hmm.
being so much bigger. I mean, that can't be good on his body, fluctuating that much weight.
Mm-hmm. And
Right?
see, that's the thing. I don't think he's ever going back down to 54.
Yeah, he said he would, but you're right.
Yeah, he said he was, but I'm just hard pressed to see that. I just, like you just said, for his frame, once you give your body that relief, I just can't see it allowing you to do it comfortably. It's one thing when you keep your body in that state and control it for a long period of time. Once you let it go to where it naturally wants to go, it's impossible. It's impossible to bring it back.
True. Well, then, how do you see Canelo versus Charlo going?
I see it 50-50. I'm still torn, right?
Okay.
But I haven't really truly made a decision who I think is going to win. I'm still at the state where I'm going off of what I think both fighters should and shouldn't do to be successful.
Okay.
And if Jamel can use his jab and control the distance and stop dictating where his head is going to be, he has a issue with with tipping off where he's gonna put his head. He tilts his head and then goes that way.
I never
He'll
noticed
tilt
that.
his head this way and then go that way.
Huh.
Right? He'll tilt his head. You can tell when he wanted to throw his jab. Those things you absolutely cannot do with Canelo. He is a true student of boxing.
Right. Or Bud.
Yeah, or Terrence Crawford. Canelo Alvarez is going to see each and every, like Terrence Crawford did with Errol Spence. Every time you make a mistake, he's going to make you pay. The thing with Canelo is just physical limitations. Like when he fought against Dimitri Bivol, his feet didn't let him stay in front of Bivol or get away from him like he wanted to.
Yeah.
His lack of height and size didn't allow him to, Bivol is such a, I think they underestimated Bivol's ring IQ.
Didn't Canelo just say he had something wrong with him that fight?
Yeah, he said that it was his hand was broken, and now he's healthy. He even said that that was the same thing for the John Ryder fight.
I wouldn't be surprised. See, these are things like, yeah, maybe it's bullshit, but maybe it's not. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. He said for Jermell Charlo, you ain't gonna see the same guy that fought Bivol, Triple G, and John Ryder.
Right.
And
well, shit.
and who can, we can't say if it's true or not, like you said, because this dude is a gym rat. So he probably did hurt himself. He in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
Canelo is never out of shape.
No.
Ever.
No. And he might be on the decline a little bit. He's been pro since he's 15, but it's hard to tell. Maybe, is he on just the decline because of he has a lot of mileage?
Yeah. And don't forget he had that knee injury.
Right.
He already didn't have fast feet. Now you got a knee injury on top of it.
Slower feet. Yeah, it's real interesting, right now with all these guys. So, because I'm thinking to myself, if Spence doesn't rematch Bud, and you might know about this, isn't there like a certain amount of time they have to trigger the rematch? And is it almost here?
Yeah. What's the day?
28th.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow's the day.
Okay. So, and I initially, by the way, thought there might be something wrong with Spence neurologically or whatever. And, but, obviously that's just speculation. I don't know. But let's say they don't fight for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Canelo and Charlo are going to probably be tied up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Who does Crawford fight if he can't fight any of those three?
I think that he should fight Keith Thurman.
I've heard that. Why? Because he said who I think he should fight is Boots, but he made it clear he doesn't want to do that.
Right. And let me say this. I think he should. I want to see him fight Boots, but I think he should fight Keith Thurman.
Because what?
I want to see Jaron Ennis get his opportunity, and I want to see that fight from a hardcore standpoint. Competitive wise, I think that would be a better fight. I think that he should go the route of Keith Thurman for the momentum to sell the fight. Keith Thurman is just a bigger draw than Jaron Ennis, unfortunately, right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Keith Thurman is going to sell a fight. Dude, Boots is not a big talker.
No.
Bosey's not a big talker. They talk what they do in the ring.
Thurman.
Boots will tell you, he'll throw little things here and there, but that's just not who he is. Right? He's almost like Andre Ward. Tank is the same way. Tank is not a big talker.
No, right? He's not. You're right.
No, he's not. He's just, that's why Floyd always talks for him. Leonard does all the talking.
Tank had that Mike Tyson thing where the veracity in the ring did all the talking.
It does all the talking.
Yeah.
Tank don't talk much. He'll talk at the press conference if you get him at the press conference.
You annoy him enough.
Yeah, you annoy him enough. But he, in between that, he ain't going. You can interview him. He'll just be like, yeah, whatever. Because he's so. It's like, bro, yeah, all right. When I put these hands on you, knock you out. We'll see then.
Right.
Boots is the same way. Like, we'll see. We're gonna see when we get in there. Keith Thurman is gonna tell you about the sun, moon, stars, and this is why you ever seen this car against this car, and this, he just gets you. He's like Rolly, but he's like Rolly that could actually back it up, right? So he's more skilled than Rolly, so it's more believable coming from Keith Thurman.
Right, and I think Thurman's inactivity is to his benefit. I feel like when you're at that stage in your career, any time off heals your body. I think it's
Mm.
good. Less, no, less damage. I think it's a good thing that he took this time off.
Now I'm the opposite, and
Yeah,
the reason I'm the opposite is because I understand what you're saying as far as healing the body, but he's a timing fighter. He's a rhythm fighter, and if you're not fighting to keep that rhythm, once you lose it, you don't use it, you lose it.
I
You
guess
know what I'm
everybody's
saying?
different. For me, it was never like that. Like for
Right.
me, it was like riding a bike. It's always there. Like you don't need much time to get it
Hmm.
back.
Hmm.
But, maybe you're right. It all depends
Yeah,
on the person, I guess.
it's like Floyd. Like some people are special, and you could be one of those people. Some people just like you said, they snap back. You know what I mean? But with Keith, we seen he take time off, then he fight guys like Josito Lopez. They're not bad fighters, or Barrios, and his timing is off. He get hit, he get hurt to the body. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Even the Pacquiao fight, bad judging the distance. You know what I'm saying? Pulling straight back, getting caught. That's why he got dropped by Pacquiao. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Those
Yeah.
those little things that certain fighters can take that time off, come
Right.
back, and it don't bother them. Some other fighters take that time off and it bothers them. And I think that Keith is somebody that bothers him. Like Terrence Crawford takes the time off, it didn't bother him.
Right.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? People say when Earl Spence time was a factor. He said, my rhythm was off. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So it's like some people it don't affect, some people it does. And so when it comes to Keith Thurman, I see that it affects him.
Right. Right.
Even when
Yeah.
if you look at the Barrios fight, he was there was times where we ain't never see Keith Thurman was leaving his feet for punches and all types of stuff, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I watched Keith Thurman arguably be at one point in time he was the best welterweight in the world.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah, and he was his fundamental. Even when he fought Sean Porter, Sean Porter pressure never broke his fundamentals. Then you watch him fight Josito Lopez and Barrios, and it's like, bro is leaving his feet. He's swinging wild, missing punch because that it's just the rhythm is off. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And so, but as far as Keith Thurman selling the fight for Terrence Crawford to keep the momentum that Terrence Crawford has right now going, you see what I'm saying? To keep that momentum going, and then another thing was when Steven Espinosa said, when as far as the sales, the money he's going to be looking for now moving forward, Boots fight is not going to demand that.
No.
It's not going to. It's not going to. It's not going to justify them paying him
Yeah.
$20 million to fight Boots.
Very few fighters will justify that now.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Now Keith Thurman may not justify 20 million, but it'll sell enough to where you can at least recoup. You understand what I'm saying? If Errol and Terrence only did 600 to 700,000, Boots and Terrence Crawford is not going to do it. It's just not going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. You have a point, man.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think
Yeah.
Thurman but okay. So, shifting a little bit, we're going into the home stretch here of the interview. The lightweights / junior welterweights, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Lightweight / junior welter. That is not. I don't even think arguably. I think it is the deepest division in boxing. Right. Two divisions. Right.
I think so, hands down.
So much talent.
Hands down.
And I like asking people this: if all five of those guys, Tio, Tank, Haney, Loma, who am I missing?
Shakur.
Shakur. If all those guys did a round robin and all fought each other in a tournament style, who do you think would come out victorious?
I think Devin Haney would come out, and the reason I say that is because of he's bigger than all of them.
Okay.
He's a pure boxer. He has a 4-inch arm reach advantage over Shakur. It don't even seem that way.
Wow.
But he does. He's 72-inch arms. Shakur is at 68.
Okay.
Shakur is like 5'8". Devin is like 5'9.5". You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he's a very fast, quick, twitchy boxer. And I think that we didn't see the power as much at 135 because he's weight draining himself.
Okay.
I think at 140 he's going to be a lot more energetic, a lot better, more consistent, and I give the edge slightly to Devin to come out.
Okay. Who do you have in second place?
Shakur, because I think Shakur has just as much the intangibles, the physical intangibles is what gives me the edge for Devin over Shakur. But I think Shakur is the best defensive fighter in all of boxing.
It looks that way.
Yeah, and we see defense can do numbers.
Yeah.
And if Devin can't hit Shakur consistently, and Shakur's you miss, we both know this, right, Mark? Missing zaps your energy more than landing.
True.
If you missing Shakur Stevenson, then he start countering you. That's a problem.
True.
Because he's a master counterpuncher as well.
Yeah.
And he's a southpaw. So I think that's a problem. So I got Shakur right there. And the guy that we didn't put in that equation because we talking about 35 and 40 is Gary Anton Russell.
What's he? What weight is he?
40.
40. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that dude is a freight train or tornado that can box.
Interesting. Yeah, all those Russell guys, I get confused. So many of them. I forget who's who.
Yeah. So Russell Jr. is the oldest at 26.
Okay.
Antonio is at, I think, 12 or 18.
Okay.
Between 12 and 18, 112 and 118. And then Anton is at 40.
And who's considered the best? Anton?
I would say well, Gary's the more accomplished, right?
Okay.
Anton is a problem. So Anton beat Boots 3 times in the amateurs. Right.
Wow.
They 3-1. So funny stories. Gary just told me this on my show 2 days ago.
Okay.
That Anton beat Boots beat Anton to open up the tournament. Then Anton had to go on the street. You got to go on the winning streak to lose the bracket to get back, and then you got to get back to the person that beat you as long as they keep winning.
Right.
So he did that, got back to Boots, and then beat Boots twice.
Wow.
Right. And his talent and his boxing ability, along with his strength and his aggression, is a problem for everybody. A problem for everybody, man.
Okay.
Devin, Shakur, Tio, Tank, it don't matter. I think Gary Anton Russell is a problem for all of them, and he don't get lumped into that equation. The new 4 kings, and he don't get lumped into that equation for whatever reason. But man, I think that dude is a problem. And
that weight divisions has so much talent. So many sharp boxers like Haney, Shakur. To me, though, the most exciting fight to see visually, just as a fight fan, would be Shakur and not Shakur, excuse me, Tank versus Tio. I think that's exciting. You agree?
I agree, 1000%.
And who do you think wins that?
I edge that to Tank, but the problem is I don't know what Tio gonna get, because when I see Tio, the crazy part about it is he fights to level his competition, right? So he fighting Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, and he shows up on the biggest stage. Then he fights Sandor Martin and Nakatani, and he looked like he's dragging ass. It's like it's so confusing. You know what I mean? The consistency, the lack thereof consistency, in my opinion, when Tio's fighting is the reason why I give Tank the edge. Okay. But Tio's ability, his size, and his power, I think, is going to be a serious problem for Tank.
Yeah. And what if
and he could box?
What? Yes, he can. We saw that I was at that fight against Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
What if that Tio shows up against Tank?
I think he could beat Tank.
He could?
Yeah, because Tank is a is not a very active fighter.
No, very economic with his
Yeah,
punches.
and he's losing rounds against Barrios, Hector Garcia.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was more to do with the size difference because those guys was keeping him at the outside, and then he eventually was able to.
And I thought that too until I realized he did the same thing in Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah, Leo's also a tall lightweight.
Lanky guy. And Tio is taller than Hector and Leo. He don't have long arms, but he's taller than him, right? But he's a better athlete than both of them. And he has way more power. He's a better boxer than they are.
Right.
Rolly was backing him up and catching him on the ropes. He's just not disciplined. Just not experienced.
You could argue that Rolly was ahead in the fight before the stoppage, or close.
Right. So, and then you watch the fight with Isaac Cruz, right? The pressure. So, Tio's skill set and talent, if he's the guy that fought Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, and if Tank don't show me the guy that fought Cuellar, because the Tank that fought Hector Garcia is not going to beat Teofimo Lopez, in my opinion.
Right.
Not that version of Teofimo Lopez.
Right.
But that Tank that showed up against Cuellar and Pedraza, that was moving and giving angles and using activity,
right,
and throwing combinations, that Tank can beat Tio. But like you said, that's why I agree with you 1,000%. That's the most exciting fight.
That is visually. I find, funny enough, maybe the highest level of chess to me would also be the most quote unquote boring fight, which would be Haney and Shakur.
I just said this earlier.
Oh, you did?
This whole thing that came out today with Shakur saying he ducked and put the video out and all of that.
Right. Something about Haney's father, right?
Yeah. And I told people that they misunderstood what Bill was saying. He was giving Shakur credit and acknowledgement for who he is and what he is and how he does it. And he was saying, this was obviously an old video, and he was saying if Shakur moves up into 135, then we'll move up to 140. Now he used the words, if it gets hot, then we'll move up, which gives the indication that if it get hot, meaning Shakur is in the division, now you want to fight and you ducking him. No, he meant if there's not enough room for us to coexist in this division before the fight is built up, then we'll exit stage left and let you have 135, and then we go to 140.
I tell you, man, one thing that drives me crazy where you hear people, and it's usually people who haven't fought, talk about all this, the dude's ducking or scared.
Right.
Boxers at that level, almost all boxers, but at that level, none of them are scared. That's so ridiculous.
Right.
Now, you might have some people deciding to take better business moves.
Right.
But it's not that they're like, oh my God, this guy's going to beat me up in front of everybody. It's so stupid. But
anyway, it makes, and I try to tell people that all the time. It's strategic. It's not scared. It's business. It's money. It's business. It's your team. It's more than just you saying, oh, hey, Marco, you want to fight Blue? Yeah, Marco, let's fight. It don't work that way.
Right.
We have a whole team, a whole network. Marco, where me and you gonna fight at?
Got to figure it out.
Right. So now somebody got to say, "Oh, we'll pay y'all to do it." If they don't pay us, then why we fighting?
Right.
And if they don't pay us, we don't got a platform. Then what's the point?
There's a lot of moving parts behind it.
A whole ton. I try to explain this to people without revealing relationships and things that go on behind the scenes.
Right.
Because then it turns into the situation like Errol Spence. Hey, you switched up on me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's part of the game, I guess.
Right. If and this is what I was trying to explain to people with the whole Crawford and Spence situation. If Showtime don't give PBC the budget, you don't have a fight.
Exactly.
They have to say, okay, we'll give Steven Espinosa, okay, we'll give you, oh, you want to put this fight? Okay, we'll give you $50 million.
Right.
And now he take that $50 million to Al Haymon and PBC. Now you try to divvy up that $50 million budget to the fighters, but you also have to have an undercard. You also have to pay for the arena. You
Right.
also have to pay for the lights,
Right.
the teams, the security.
And
People don't
right.
understand that.
It's in, I think the best way to liken it is in production and television, a showrunner. That's kind of what a showrunner does. They take the
Exactly.
budget, they do everything.
Right. Everything out of that budget.
Right.
And so, when I was explaining this to get back to what you were saying about that fight being for me and you again, for me and you, Shakur and Devin is exciting, right?
Yeah.
To somebody that just casually watch it, the names they might identify with, but when they watch the fight, they're not going to appreciate what they're watching.
Right. Well, I have the ability of like, it would probably bore me a little bit, to be honest, but I still would appreciate the level of chess.
Right, because exactly, exactly, Mark. It could bore me too, but
Yeah.
I appreciate what I'm watching.
Right.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? We understand what we're watching. You just want to see more action to it.
Hopkins is a good example of that. For me.
Exactly.
For me.
And I always say this, and I know you remember this. Remember the Ring magazine, and everybody had the Ring magazine. Everybody had the two best fighters coming up, which was Tim Bradley and Devin Alexander. Remember that?
Yes.
And they fought, and it was a dud.
Yes. Yes. A big part of that is what I've noticed is a lack of power. So like when I watch Loma and Haney, within 2 rounds, I was like, okay, nobody's knocking anybody out. This
Right.
is just going to be what we're watching.
Right.
And when there's a lack of which is why Spence and Crawford was so enticing, because everybody was like, either of these guys can knock the other guy out any given
Right.
moment.
Right. Right.
But with those fights, like with Haney and Shakur, if there's a stoppage of any kind, I will be shocked out of my
and that's why I tell people it's more than likely not going to even be a knockdown left unless it's a flash knockdown.
Probably not even anybody getting hurt.
Right. They probably won't get hurt.
Right.
First of all, they're going to you put it, and I gave this analogy. If you put a mongoose and a cobra in the tank, it's going to be exciting. If you put a mongoose and a mongoose in the tank, it's not. If you put a cobra and a cobra in there, it's not. Because they're going to do a lot of posturing.
Right.
A lot of posturing.
Right.
A lot of feinting. Nobody wants to make a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And, we got to see these fights because now we're in an age of A side, B side bullshit, preventing fights, egos preventing fights.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that going on. So do you think we're going to get to see all 5 of those dudes at some way or another square off and fight?
I believe so. I think it's inevitable.
I think so.
I think and the person that can start it off is Tank.
Okay.
Because
he's had big fights. They're just not against, Rolly and Ryan or big fights, but not against.
He has the most pull, the most power.
Yes.
To say, I want to fight Teofimo Lopez and make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's even with the boundaries.
Yeah.
He has enough power, enough that Teofimo is going to have a hard time not pressing Bob Arum to say, make this fight happen because the demand. And second on the list is Devin Haney because of how the way they operate and the freedom that they have.
Okay.
They don't really commit to any promotional company.
Okay.
So they got the freedom to fight over here, then I could go over here, then I could go over there. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
Where Tank and Shakur is more, I'm with Showtime. See, Tank situation is more of a loyalty thing than it is a contractually obligation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's loyal to Showtime, PBC, but he's not contractually obligated.
Right.
Shakur right now is contractually obligated for the next year, and Tio as well.
Yeah, I mean, man, I hope you're right. I hope we do see it. I guess only time will tell. I don't really want to see Frank Martin fight Shakur, but whatever.
I love that fight, and the reason I love that, and you know why? For one, for Frank, Errol Spence delivered a legacy fight for him. A marquee, not a legacy, but a marquee fight for him.
Right.
Right. And for Shakur, for the first time, we're going to see him in there with an athletic, explosive guy that has power and can box.
Right.
So it's going to tell us truly, is he really that good like we think? Because now he's going to be in there, and no slight to Frank, but just to give an example for people to understand, and I know you can appreciate what I'm getting ready to say, is remember when Zab and Floyd fought Chop Chop?
Stop crying and fight.
Stop crying and fight. But Chop Chop's skill set, his athletic ability, his explosiveness was a measuring stick to where Zab, where Floyd
Right.
was.
Right. So you think Frank Martin is that?
Frank Martin is that.
Okay. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
He
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
tell us. He gonna tell us because he could. Chop Chop hurt both of them, Zab and Floyd.
Yeah. He could punch.
He could punch. He athletic. He could stick with them. Right. Now, is the cream gonna rise to the top? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 No, I do. I do. I mean, you know, shit. We'll see. I heard Cruz is supposed to rematch Tank, which I
Tank.
hope is not happening.
It looks like it is.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to see that either. So why, you know, and whatever. Just 'cause I don't want to see it doesn't mean. But why are those fights happening? Why aren't they connecting him with Shakur, with Haney, with I don't know why. But
And this is the reason I gave, and I give Tank a pass 30 fight this year. We don't get that.
good point.
Right.
Good point.
He regardless if he was guilty or not, he just was in jail. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
You know, all of those things you factor in. He did the biggest fight this year, arguably the biggest fight in the last 10 years, numbers wise, outside of Canelo.
Yeah.
Outside of Canelo, right? So, you know, for him to give us a third fight this year and a solid fight against a rematch against Cruz, whether we think Cruz gonna win or not, you know, it's a solid fight. Cruz has a chance. He got power. You know what I'm saying? I can say, okay, to close out the year for Tank, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Next year, now I'm holding you accountable. I need to see you fight Shakur. I need you to fight Devin.
Right.
This year is done. You done fought 3 times. You had a marquee fight, crossover fight with Ryan, so on and so forth. Did big numbers. Fought Hector Garcia, was undefeated. You rematch Cruz, that's out the way. Now, from here on out, Tank, we need to see you fight nothing but marquee fights.
Right. Right. You know, you're right, man. And Tank does hold all. Tank can set it off, and hopefully he does. Hopefully he does.
Right. Yeah, he got the ability. If anybody does, he does.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he does, and we'll see, man. I hope. All right. So I guess the last thing I kind of want to talk about briefly is the heavyweight division. I'm curious first, what do you think about this whole Fury fighting the MMA guy Ngannou?
I don't like it.
Why not?
Now, here's where I have the problem with it. Is because the heavyweight division is such a small community.
Yeah.
Right. And once you get to a certain level, give us the fights that we want to see. You should be fighting for undisputed.
Should be.
Right. And when you give fighters in boxing another option, they will go to the negotiation table with that option in their brain and not want to realistically negotiate. Okay. So Ngannou was a plan B for Fury all along. He's been talking about this forever.
Yeah. You're right.
And so when Usyk went to the table, it's like, oh, you don't want to give me this? Oh, you don't want, you know, it's like it's equivalent to if you have 2 exotic, beautiful women, right? And you got a beautiful wife or a beautiful girlfriend. Hey, you don't want to do this? When I got them waiting in the wings, right? Your commitment will be different.
Right.
You understand? Because you know, okay, well, I can fall back in. Ain't no drop off.
Right.
And that's the issue that I have with this fight with Fury in his prime. Right? When you're gonna do that in the tail end of your career, like Floyd did with Conor McGregor, I'm cool with that. His career was already over.
And technically, if you think about it, the 2 fights he had right before were not too far off of of exhibitions themselves.
Right. Exactly. And so, but with Fury in this case, I need you, and I kind of understand. I started to feel like I understand because he already beat Wilder. They already fought 3 times. Joshua started losing, so it's like that kind of lost some of his luster. So it was kind of like Usyk or what at that point, right?
Right. Right.
And but I feel like if the Ngannou fight wasn't an option, he would have been more committing to making the Usyk fight. And now we almost had disaster strike, like we was just talking about with Usyk and Daniel Dubois. If that would have been counted as a not, they don't have no rematch clause.
It would have been, yeah. And then it would have been Dubois against Fury.
And we know how that plays out.
Yeah.
It loses its luster, like Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson when
Or-
Evander Holyfield is sitting right there
Or Pacquiao when he got knocked out.
by Marquez.
Yup. There goes the Mayweather fight. I mean, not there it goes, but right, it lost its appeal.
It lost its luster.
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing. We almost had that strike. Now imagine if Ngannou lands a lucky punch and knocks Fury out. What are we talking about?
If that happens, Fury deserves it for taking the fight to begin with.
But anything, because we know Fury don't mind playing around in the ring.
No, but I think it's safe to say if Wilder can't hit him, can't knock him out, this does not knock him out.
I think that too. But anything.
But you're right. Anything could happen. You're right.
Anything. He gets clipped, knocked out. It's like, bro, what?
Yeah,
I think he'll come back seriously and then be like, all right, man, I can't play around. Let me get him out of here.
I don't like the fight either. I think Fury, at this point, I think he has all the tools to be possibly one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, mainly because of his size. He's like a cheat code, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But to even be considered as the greatest heavyweight of this era, to even because he only beat an old Klitschko and then Wilder. So really, he needs to clean out the rest of the heavyweight division in his era. Joshua, Ruiz, Usyk.
Right.
That's really it.
I would have much rather him fight Andy Ruiz.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, when you have that option, that money he can make.
But he now, we can't speak about what somebody else's mentality is at in terms of.
He says the money don't count.
Does the money matter, or is it about legacy?
It matters to him.
How much?
It matters to him. He Tyson Fury. He may take the money and give it away, but he wants to make the money.
Maybe you're right. I mean, he seems to me more like he cares about legacy. That's how it comes off.
And that's what I thought. He think about his health. He does it for his health, not for. But then when you hear him in the negotiations with Usyk or with Joshua,
did you hear what he said? Did you watch the I've been telling people about this, the Netflix Fury show?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear when Fury straight up said something along the lines of, well, Usyk's a little guy, so it's kind of a lose-lose for me. So if I fight him, I want to make as much money as possible. I'm not going to take that risk.
Right.
So
and then he said he don't even have a country right now behind him.
Right.
Something like he don't have a country to fight or something of that magnitude.
So he is avoiding that fight, or not? I shouldn't say avoiding. He's not avoiding. He wants to maximize his earnings from that fight.
Right. He's not avoiding the fight. He's stagnating the fight.
Because then the other side of it is like I thought his mentality was more the other side, which is this guy's tiny. I'll crush him. I don't give a fuck. Let's fight. Let me get this on all these belts.
That's what he said. And he said money don't matter.
But then it turned into like, well, this is a little risky. So I want to, if I'm going to take a risk in my health and all that, I would better be compensated fully.
Right. Exactly.
So
which is confusing.
It's very confusing. I think, I mean, Ruiz has almost no chance to beat Fury. I think Usyk's the only one with any chance, which I don't think it's much of a chance.
And I don't think he wins.
No. I
don't think he wins.
Top of the pile, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, man, I appreciate you talking to me.
No doubt, great brother.
Let's do it again.
Yes, sir. Make it happen. Let's make it happen.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, bro. Salute. Peace.
All right, later.
Later.